All right, everybody, I'm going to add to our series of videos that shows just basic skills. And trimming is great. We've kind of gone over trimming, but a precursor to trimming is getting your piece on center. And I want to teach you the way that I do it, which is pretty efficient, pretty fast, and incredibly frustrating until you learn it. So I'm going to kind of break it down for you. I'm going to show you how to learn it using a can of beans to start with. And then I've got a leather hard pot to show you the real deal, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned. I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of tapping on center. Okay, I know this looks ridiculous, but this is a recommendation that I got from the person who taught me to tap on center, and that's actually really wise. It's a little bit actually harder to do this with a can, but if you can do it with a can, you can definitely do it with a pot, and there's no way you're going to mess up the can. I guess you could dent it if you really sent it flying. But let's just start the wheel and look at what we have here. So I'm kind of spinning it slowly, so it's really easy to see. That can is not in the center of the wheel. And obviously, you're going to try to put it in the middle of the wheel as best you can, but it's not necessarily going to be perfect. And it's even more so the case with an actual leather hard pot. So let me break this down for you. Common misconceptions are that you have to have like perfect timing, or that you have to catch it at some certain point. The secret to tapping on center is really just the way that you tap. It's got to be a tap. It's got to be a tap, 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 tap kind of sound, not a va, 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 or a blah, blah, blah. It's got to be sharp. So it's just little sharp taps. And you don't really have to time it. I like to do little bursts and then kind of assess. Okay, I'm closer to center, still oscillating just a little bit, another little tap or a little burst of taps. And as you're tapping, the taps get lighter and lighter as you get closer to the center. And that is pretty much perfectly on center. And it doesn't take that long if you're not talking. And once you learn how to do this technique, I can knock it off and I can get it right back on center within, I don't know, harder with a can. Now I'm just embarrassing myself. But I don't know, maybe 10, 15 seconds. Anyway, you never have to stop the wheel. So if you have a wheel that has pretty lousy pedal control, this is a necessity. Or if you're working on a big heavy kick wheel and it's a pain to start and stop, again, this is just going to be a necessity to learn how to use the tapping on center method. So yeah, try it with a can. If you get really far off, if you kind of go sloppily in, what happens is the can will sort of stick to you and ride up your hand and really go out of whack. Or if you hit it too hard, you're pushing it beyond, and that's not helpful. You just want to do little taps and little bursts. Don't worry about timing it, just a little burst. And then stop and look and see, and that's pretty much on center. So little bursts so that you're going to hit over and over and over again. And let me just talk to you briefly about the idea of timing. So yes, okay, if you can see it coming and tap it at just the right point, more power to you. But it's pretty hard to see it when it's going that quick. So really what we're doing is if I put it way off center, you can see it's coming around. When it gets over here towards my hand, well, I'm more likely to hit it. If I'm just randomly tapping, I'm going to hit it on the side that's sticking out more, which is going to bring it towards the center. And then I move in a little closer and randomly just kind of tap, and it's going to get closer. And if I hit it too hard, okay, I've screwed it up. I've made it go too far. But then I can just come in and little burst, get closer, lighter, lighter, lighter. And there I am. Pretty nicely on center. So get your can of beans from the back of the closet that maybe expired 10 years ago. I won't even check, but yeah, this thing is old. I use it to teach people how to tap on center. Feel bad for the refried beans, but anyway, there it is. So let's take it one step farther. We're going to put a leather hard pot on the wheel and get it started. So again, you can see it's not in the middle. With an actual pot, you don't want to go whacking it completely off the wheel. And you also want to decide, where is it that you're centering it? And I'm centering it basically at this level. I don't want to go up here where it's raggedy, and I don't want to go at the rim where if there's eccentricity at the rim, I'm getting that. I'm going to basically stop at the point where I'll probably stop trimming. So that's it, and that's centered. It took all of 3 seconds. Knock it off and show you again. So it's eccentric. I'm going to come in and just tap, lighter, 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 and there it is on center again. Okay, so great technique to have. I'm going to secure this thing and trim the foot, and I'm ready to go. It's going to save so much time for you over the long run if you go ahead and learn this technique this week maybe. Don't worry, expect to be a little bit frustrated. It takes a minute to get the hang of it, but the effort is really well worth it. All right, once you can get it centered quickly and easily, when you go to secure it to the wheel, you can do your trimming, and you don't have to feel pressure to get it all right in one go. It's easy enough to pick it up, feel what you have, and go back in for some more trimming if you need to. So I don't want you to ever feel like, oh, it's so hard to get it on center again to trim, that once I'm done trimming, that's it. I don't want to have to try to go back in. I'm going to show you how I like to secure a piece of clay to the, or a piece that needs trimming to the wheel head. 4 pieces of clay, it's really important. I'm going to roll them into little fat coils. I'm going to place them north, south, east, and west on my pot. Now I've tapped this on center. I don't want to throw it off putting this thing, putting the hold down coils down. So I'm going to kind of curl them up to the wheel. I do everything symmetrically so that the forces oppose each other and cancel out. And I just stick it down so it looks like a little pea pod like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 remaining cardinal directions. And because I'm working on directly opposite sides, there's no tendency for that thing to get shoved one way or the other. That way when I start the wheel back up, it's still pretty nicely centered. All right, so now I can get in here, trim this foot, zip zaps up. I've got my right bevel angle, so I'm getting nice smooth cuts. Gonna go ahead and hollow out this foot. This clay's a little on the stiff side because I'm going to use it in a subsequent video to show you a decorative technique called chattering. So I'm just putting up with the clay being a little stiffer. In the real world, it would have been smarter to go ahead and trim this while the clay was nice and leather hard, not on the hard side of leather hard, so that I could come back after it's set up even more to show you the chattering. But it's still coming off in long ribbons. I just like it when they come off and they're still a little soft. Just means a little bit less effort. I like to put my little signature spiral in the bottom. And then I'm going to kind of dress up this foot a little bit, bevel it slightly inward, and then bevel the inside edge and the outside edge of the foot, so that I can come back and round it with some pressure from my dry, clean finger. All right, I'm gonna take one last pass here with my bevel angle absolutely correct, so I can leave a fairly smooth surface. Now, just to prove my point, I'm gonna remove these little hold down pieces of clay, and I'm gonna see what the balance of this feels like. It's a little bit bottom heavy, and there's a little extra material down here at the very bottom. So I don't have to panic and think, oh gosh, I can never put this back down in the same orientation. Just move my little hold downs, sweep away any little trimmings, set this guy back down, and just tap it right back on center, stick it back down, and I am good to keep trimming. So no real interruption in the flow of your process, no big time investment. I'm going to cut this down just a little bit deeper, just to improve the tactile qualities of that pot. It looked fine, but it was just a little bit, bottom heavy is not really the right word. There was just some extra material down here that didn't need to be there. And my foot was also a little shallower than I would like when I go to glaze. So take that extra second, reattach it to the wheel, and go again. And just be happy now that you have this technique. You can not fret about getting things back on center and doing a little bit more with your trim job when you realize that the original trim was lacking in some way. All right, that's it. Thanks so much, and good luck with this. Persevere, you're gonna get it. And if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Just leave them in the comments or send us an email.